Hey, Calvary Church, this is Pastor Randy.
And Victoria. We're coming to you from our living room.
We're excited to be able to share some exciting news and some challenging information with you today. On the exciting side, we have our new technology that's going to be coming on board. You know that we partnered with the church, helping with the youth, and moved into creative arts. And we have been trying to work with the church and part of the church revitalization to focus on technology. So the computer's being purchased and software to be able to present on Sunday mornings. We want to be able to train a group of people to be able to operate that from the sound booth. And so giving a shout out to the youth that have helped in the past on Sunday morning worship doing that. We would love for you to come alongside so we can prepare to use you in that way. Now, on the challenging side as well, Victoria and I have spent this season, as I'm sure many of you have, praying more and seeking God's favor and where are we going to go in the midst of this pandemic, having lots of concerns of how it is impacting our culture, our everything around us, and impacting the local church. So in the midst of this, unbeknownst to us, God was doing a work in the background of our lives in ways that we had not expected. One of my life verses is Galatians 2:20. And within that verse, it talks about that I have been crucified with Christ. It's no longer I who live, but Christ lives in me. And because Christ lives within us, we have followed after God's mission and purpose in our lives since the day that Victoria and I got married. And so that part of our journey has been 30 years in the Kansas City area of doing ministry. And as I was thinking about it today, if I back up a little to where Victoria and I started ministry together, that's about another 10 years. So that's a 40-year journey. That's interesting for me.
I started in college.
Yeah, because Israel spent 40 years before they went to the promised land. I believe that God always has a plan working in the background of our lives when our hearts and lives are open to it. And so while we have been fasting and praying in this season, we received a phone call from a local pastor at a church called Epic, Kansas City. It's a church that Victoria and I were involved in before we came to Calvary. And out of that call came the opportunity for us to pray about and consider the opportunity to be the connection and care pastors at this church. And so we told Pastor Bobby we would think about it, pray about it, seek God's will and favor. And as we have prayed and sought God's face, we feel that God is leading us into this new area of ministry where we literally have taken it full circle in Kansas City, and we will end up back in a building physically where we first started ministry in Kansas City, where we felt God was placing us to begin with. And so we believe God's ordaining some things in our lives. And we ask that you'd be in prayer for us. This allows us to use a lot of areas of giftedness in the area of mentoring and discipleship, of counseling, coaching, looking at being able to operate life groups within the church, and engaging folks to go on a mission trip annually, most likely, to the Dominican Republic, which is where Victoria and I served as missionaries so many years ago. And so that is really exciting to us because that is a passion in our lives. Many of you met Pastor Kurt when he came to our church, and so that is someone we hope to partner with as well. So I know this is news that none of us were looking for, but God always has a plan and he has a purpose. And so in the beginning when I said we want to train some people to operate the new technology, we want to accelerate that. And so pray about it. And I'm just going to say step out in faith. If you know how to use a computer, we can teach you how to operate the technology that's coming to the church in preparation for what God is going to do. I believe that the best days are ahead for Calvary Church. I'm excited about the people of the church. And we want you to know that we love you. And that we're going to transition. That transition will be through the month of May and June, and then just on a collaborative basis during the month of July, because we kind of like a short gap, because in August is when we make the leap into the new church and leading new ministry, and that's when Victoria goes back to teaching, and so it's just going to be a busy season for us. So two things: pray for the ministry team at Calvary. I believe that God will not only replace us, but bring many other people that will help with the ministry of the church. And be in prayer for Victoria and I, because this will be a challenging ministry for both of us. We're excited about the next part of the journey that God has for us. And here's what I want you to know, church. You too have been crucified with Christ. It's no longer you who live, but Christ lives in you. Be open to his will. Be subject to his commands, and he will bless you in ways that you never expected. We love you. Feel free to reach out to us. Many of you follow us on Facebook. You can send us a text. Just know that we are leaving in the best way possible. We don't want to hurt a church to leave a church, so we want to plan and prepare as we launch into the new area of ministry. We love you all.